Celtic Football Club is a football club for all and one that welcomes everybody, unless of course you're an Israeli Jew who doesn't want to see his country, men and women, tortured, massacred and raped. Welcome back guys to Fog Football, and it looks like Liel Abada's time at Celtic could possibly be coming to an end. It is on the rocks, you could say, after what has happened over the past week, and Liel Abada has went to the board. He's expressed his feelings, how he's not happy with the support to Palestine and the resistance from the Green Brigade, especially after what happened in Israel. Now, of course, he's not the only one to do this. Former Celtic player Liel Abada has also been outspoken recently about the Green Brigade and what they thought of the attacks. He came out, called them brainwashed and biased, which of course they are. Liel Abada also accused the Green Brigade of supporting a terrorist organisation. And is it any surprise that these people support Palestine? It's the same people that support the IRA, who are also terrorists, who also murdered people. So, I mean, it's hardly surprising that these deplorable people in the Green Brigade have took this stance. But to be fair to the club, to be fair to Celtic Football Club, they have come out, they have condemned the Green Brigade. They've said that Celtic aren't a political club, even though history would suggest otherwise. But on this occasion, the board have come out, they've condemned it. Could they do more? Absolutely. Could they remove these flags? Could they stop these messages? They could. Could they do something about the Green Brigade? Yeah, they could, but they haven't right now, although I guess condemning it is the first step. However, Liel Abada has went to the board. He's made his feelings be heard, and I'm just not sure how Liel Abada can A, continue his playing career at Celtic, and B, why would he want to continue his playing career at Celtic? I just don't see it. He wakes up to a horrible day, one of the worst moments in his country's history, and then he has to see the team that he plays for, a large section of the crowd cheering this, celebrating this, victor to the resistance. What resistance? A bunch of fucking Hamas terrorists parachuting into a festival and killing hundreds of Israeli people, hundreds of people that weren't even Israelis and were just there for the festival. They take these people, they murder them, they torture them, and the Celtic fans in the Green Brigade think this is good. They're celebrating this. It's unbelievable. They're supporting this. It is fucking unbelievable. And how can Liel Abada continue to be at a club that supports this, a club that has got a large fan section that is expressing, their joy, basically, that this happened, because that is what it is. So Liel Abada has went to the board. I don't honestly know what the board can say to him, though. The board have already come out and condemned it. Can they try and prevent things like this happening in the future? I mean, possibly. This is what the board had to say based on the incidents. A statement from the board read, quote, "Banners displayed in a section of Celtic Park prior to Saturday's game do not represent the views of Celtic Football Club, and we disassociate ourselves from them. We condemn the display of such messages at Celtic Park. Celtic is a football club and not a political organisation. One of our core values from inception is to be open to all, regardless of race, colour, politics or creed. That is why the club has always made clear that political messages and banners are not welcome at Celtic Park or any match involving Celtic. At a time of loss and suffering for many, it is entirely inappropriate for any group of individuals to use Celtic Park as a vehicle for such messages. We call on all supporters, regardless of their personal views, to unite in backing our players and the club while respecting the rights and beliefs of others, particularly those whose lives are affected by violence and hatred." End of quote. And we also had Abada. He took to social media to deliver a message based on everything that's happening. Abada says, quote, "It is difficult to explain the range of emotions I feel at the moment. We woke up to one of the darkest days in the history of my country. I would like to thank everybody sending me supporting messages on social media over the last couple of days. It is not taken for granted. My heart goes out to all the families who lost their loved ones, praying for more peaceful days. Love you all." End of quote, Liel Abada. So, I mean, that's the club stance on it. That's Liel Abada's stance on it. And, I mean, it's so fucking distasteful. Less than 24 hours after this horrific attack, the Celtic fans have got these banners, Free Palestine, victor to the resistance, and they're holding all these Palestine flags less than 24 hours after these atrocities have been committed. Even if your political stance is to stand with Palestine, it's so insensitive to have all these flags, all these banners less than 24 hours after the murder of all these Israeli people. And I'm sure Liel Abada does not want to see this after what just happened to his country. And I'm sure Liel Abada has got lots of criticism for nothing less than being an Israeli and expressing the sadness over what happened and condemning the attacks from Hamas terrorists. And Liel Abada has been getting abused for that. The CelticStar.com website came out and says that the criticism of Liel Abada is totally unjust and unfair, which of course it is. I mean, this is just, it's no different to racism here for the Green Brigade. They are bashing someone just purely because they are a Jew, and we've seen it with Near Bitten. Near Bitten came out, he was unhappy. He said that a lot of the Celtic fans are brainwashed and biased and they need to educate themselves on the situation, and he faced a ton of abuse for that. The amount of negative comments that he had directed at him was insane. Even his wife was being messaged, getting called a whore, getting talked about being raped, and all this shit from, you know, certain parts of fans. So it just goes to show that Liel Abada and fellow Israeli players like him, they might be okay at Celtic Park as long as they sit there with their mouths shut, but as soon as they condemn any attacks that Jews are facing or that Israeli citizens are facing, then they're going to come under fire, and the Green Brigade's their true selves will come out, and they're going to be the ones getting abused. So for me, Liel Abada, he can go to the club, and fair play to Celtic Football Club for condemning this shit, but it's never going to change. You're never going to change a certain part of a certain section of the Celtic fans, the Green Brigade. Their opinions are never going to change, and Liel Abada is probably not going to be welcomed by that part of the stadium, that part of the crowd from here on out, and I just don't think he'd want to be there. He's going to constantly see all this shit, these Palestine flags, these the support for Hamas and the support for resistance. So for me, I just don't think he would want to be there. It just doesn't make any sense for Liel Abada to be a Celtic player. The board can only really say so much. The board can condemn stuff. The board can say that they're not a political club, but unless the board are willing to physically stop this from happening and deny entry to these people and remove all these distasteful banners and protests, and there's nothing really going to change, because the board have actually come under criticism for a lot of the Green Brigade for doing this. And yeah, I mean, it does suck, but again, like I said, the people supporting this, they are all deplorables. People that supported the IRA, it's just people, it's people genuinely cheering for terrorism. Like, so you've got to wonder, what kind of people these are. And I've seen Ryan 118 come out, and he's been talking a lot about Palestine lately. He's been pro-Palestine, and again, just less than 24 hours after all this happened, to come out and have support for the resistance and to say that's where he leans, and then to criticise the club. It just says what a shite person he is. But I'm not surprised. This is another guy that has been pro-IRA in the past, and despite never stepping foot in Ireland, despite never stepping foot in any Irish county, this is also a guy that on his podcast a few months ago, along with his little Celtic buddies, said they would beat up biological women because they weren't happy, and there was women protesting outside Celtic Park that they didn't want men in the women's bathrooms, and they were also shown and threatened with violence. So yeah, there's a certain support of this club that is just toxic, and I do think a lot of these ultras from clubs need to be dealt with, and I think football would be better without a lot of these. But the Green Brigade are really bad, and they're scumbags. They're deplorable people, let's be honest. And hopefully Liel Abada can get a move out of Celtic. I don't see why he'd want to be there, and I do praise the club for the fact they've come out and condemned this. I think it's brave for the club, because they must have knew the criticism and the blowback they were going to get for this, obviously, by coming out and condemning that. So I mean, respect to the club, but they need to do a bit more, in my opinion, or else Liel Abada will be leaving. But that's it, guys. I mean, I'll catch you in the next one. Just can't believe that people will continue to support terrorism, and we've seen the raping and the murdering, the torturing, yet people will still be pro-Palestine and still can not condemn what's happening here to the Jews in Israel. It is sick. It really is sick, but that's up to those people, guys. We'll move on. We'll talk about football. Scotland review coming tonight. Looking forward to it. I'll catch you in the next one. Till then, peace.